G'day guys, welcome to this very interesting episode that we're going to be putting up here for the podcast. That is Caleb's Conversation Podcast. Welcome everyone, those who are new to the channel, those who are returning subscribers. I know it's been a while since we've done an official Caleb's Conversation Podcast episode, but this one's going to be a special one because we are going to be focusing specifically on the Oscars. The 94th Academy Awards just took place. I unfortunately wasn't able to watch it live. I was working, but I've brought on someone who I know has a very keen interest in the Oscars and in cinema and all that, and I know he knows his stuff. So I've brought on Michael Ashton back onto the channel to discuss it with me. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing all right, Caleb. Thank you for inviting me here.
I was going to say, so I wasn't able to watch it live, but I have since gone through and watched the entire ceremony, fast forwarding through a little, through a few parts because, you know, there is a lot of rambling and stuff. I did have the luxury of having the ability to fast forward, so I was happy about that. But yes, obviously, I think there might be one major headline that comes away from this ceremony. I haven't looked at social media at all, so I have no idea how people are reacting to the thing overall, but it's me and it's Michael here to discuss our thoughts. So we're just going to give them to you raw. Michael, I'll throw over to you first. What were your thoughts on the Oscars ceremony as a whole?
What kind of language can we use on this podcast right now?
You can say whatever you want. No filter, bro.
In that case, I thought it was an absolute shit show. Especially compared to previous years, because this was the first year that I felt the Academy was trying to push for something that was more appeasing to this generation of, and especially with what many considered to be the snub for Spider-Man No Way Home, because they thought that, you know, because of how much it was the first movie to gross over $1 billion at the box office as the pandemic started, they would have thought that may have been that would have been a sure thing for Best Picture. But then when that didn't get nominated, it seemed like that they were trying to redirect the ceremony to appeal to that kind of audience, especially throughout the ceremony. They were doing a lot of promotion of like that Korean band, I think it was, that showed up, and they were going, oh, when we grew up, we love Disney, we love Pixar. So I think there was a lot of movement in order to appeal to the audience of today that the general moviegoers. But from what I saw, I thought it actually for a while was paced at a really good speed. I think that especially with the design of the Dolby Theatre, the way that they were sitting down, it was a bit more casual, laid back. They weren't in seats. They were actually, at tables. I can imagine that they were actually a lot more comfortable, and also because of social distancing. But it was the presenters, I think, the type of presenters that they were bringing on that really started to scratch my head. Like they were doing a tribute to James Bond, the 60th year of James Bond since Dr. No came out. I loved
the tribute, yeah. Especially everything surrounding Billie Eilish and her performance as well. I really enjoyed all the James Bond stuff.
Yes, but the thing is that who did they introduce for the Bond tribute? One of them was Tony Hawk. You had Judi Dench there, who was nominated. You had Javier Bardem, who was then nominated. Yeah. Rami Malek, he was introducing No Time to Die by Billie Eilish. So why are you using these guys to introduce this? I guess
maybe to bring in like the sort of people who are interested in sport, maybe, and to kind of drag in some people from that, because obviously James Bond is a huge, super famous character. But it was slightly strange. I agree.
Yeah, so there was that. There was a couple of nice performances. I missed out on the Beyonce performance. And
that was
Billie
the
Eilish,
beginning one, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that was in Compton. On the streets of Compton, yeah, they had this like massive sort of soundstage set up, and everyone was dressed in green. It was quite interesting. But, a stock standard Beyonce performance, what do you expect?
Yeah, and I was actually really shocked to learn that this was her first Oscar-nominated song. So
really?
Because I was listening to all the best songs last night. So, and there was the three that were the front runners. It was Billie Eilish for No Time to Die. There was Lin-Manuel Miranda for I forgot the name of the song, but it was for Encanto. And then you had Beyonce's song for King Richard. So it's like if that's the three-way front runners, this is going to be a great night for musical icons. So I was very happy to see how that all turned out. If we're already talking about winners so far, but mainly talking about the ceremony itself, there was times where I thought, why is this dropping in and out? It seemed it, and especially from the perspective of trying to keep the schedule, because apparently they actually made an effort to that. Well, if we're going to go on to it, they cut all 8 categories and then they presented it to them before the ceremony
try
started,
and make the runtime a bit more compact. Yeah.
Exactly, but then despite this effort, it ran overtime and even went longer than last year's. So this is obviously not a problem with the amount of categories that you have. It is about producing. It is about what you put on stage and what you're trying to appeal to with the audience. They're going to look at this and go, okay, obviously it's not the categories. Why are we dedicating time to Amy Schumer dressing up as Spider-Man and being lowered from the rafters? This is something that I thought was a really big head scratcher, and what I think,
yeah. Well, let's transition into that. What was your sort of opinions on the way they had the 3 hosts kind of spearheading this whole ceremony? Because I think you should either go one of 2 ways. You either have no host at all, or you have one person who kind of keeps it going, keeps the momentum flowing all the way through. And to have 3 people there, it just feels like overkill. And I don't know. It was just one of those things. A few of the jokes landed, a few just kind of were huge misses, but it is one of those things. What did you think of the inclusion of 3 female hosts?
Well, for one thing, I actually really liked whenever Wanda Sykes was actually on screen. I think that the bit when she was going through the Academy Museum was probably the best advertisement for the Academy Museum that it's ever put out, and I think that Wanda Sykes should just advertise everything. But to me, I actually kind of like a duo host, because then there's a chemistry between the two that you're actually able to feed off of, and it's more like a joint thing as opposed to just one lone person out there. I mean, I love Billy Crystal. I love what Jon Stewart did. I even like Seth MacFarlane, because I think he gives a bit of irreverence to the whole ceremony that allows Hollywood to be a bit more self-aware. I actually really liked him, but then there were jokes that, once again, like you said, that I did chuckle at, but then there were some that, as some people would say in pure Amy Schumer fashion, felt kind of recycled. There was a joke about hiring 3 women because it's the same as paying for one male. I feel like
that one I didn't like at all.
Yeah, but it also is like, didn't Ricky Gervais make that joke like years ago with the Golden Globes?
Yeah.
And
well, it's one of those things that it's a joke that is like so clearly pandering to a portion of the audience that believes that. But if you have any sort of
I believe it.
It's like such a silly thing to say. Anyway, it was a joke I didn't enjoy. But the one joke I did, and I'll give her credit, the one joke I did laugh at was the one about Don't Look Up and how the Academy doesn't pay attention to critic scores. I thought that was quite funny, because those who have watched my Don't Look Up review know that I did not like that movie at all. Even though it is, the way it's made, it's a very specific type of movie, and the satire is dialed up to 11. So I understand the type of movie that it is, but I didn't like it, and I know many people didn't. Yeah. So I did laugh at that joke. That was the one that I'll give her credit for.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I liked Don't Look Up. I like it more than a lot of other people do, but I actually did like that. Even Adam McKay was laughing at it. It's in the, cut to him, so he was able to actually make light, of that moment, because he understood the divisiveness that movie had. The one joke I didn't particularly like, and maybe it's because this movie was in my top 15 or whatever, and it was nominated for 0 things, was The Last Duel. When with the DVD, because no Academy Award, I don't know whether it was punching down or it was supposed to be saying, hey, why didn't you guys nominate for this? So, and I'll say this as a kind of a segue, they were really kind of messing around with Ridley Scott's filmography this evening, with the casual mention drop of another film. In case you know which one I'm talking about.
Why don't you just explain it for everyone who's at home and listening?
Okay, so those of you who've been living in a cave, So there was Chris Rock came out to present Best Documentary, and so he was going through all the actors, that he's, I imagine he was probably tight with. He even made a Shakespeare joke where he actually dropped he actually said the word Macbeth. So maybe this was a preface for all of this because you don't say Macbeth while in theater, and so he made a joke about Javier Bardem and how, because his wife was nominated along with him. So if she loses, he can't win because so that was fine. And he says, I'm praying for Will Smith to win this. And then he immediately went to Will Smith and then told, I won't repeat the joke, but it came across as making light of Jada Pinkett Smith's appearance, at her expense, because then context later came to light and all that. And then once that was told, the context was, I forgot what the name of the disease is, but it's a disease where she has balding, where
the hair falls out, right?
And so
as well.
And so he was making light of that, and so Will Smith came up. It kind of felt like a bit for a while. Very bizarre moment. Because I was watching it sort of half tuned in, half tuned out, and so he came up to Chris Rock after he made the joke. I still don't know whether he actually punched him or slapped him. I can't tell. I don't think it was an angle.
Actually very quickly rewinded and rewatched the moment. So he goes to slap him and he connects him in the neck sort of region. So he doesn't get him across the face and he doesn't get him across the arm. He kind of that's why when you're listening to it, it sounds kind of more of a thud rather than a slap because he kind of misses and hits him in this sort of region. I thought it was so strange. Because when he walked up, I was like, oh, okay, this is a rehearsed bit. Oh, this is going to be some sort of funny interaction. And then he swung and I thought he missed him at first. But then it once it was kind of a oh shit moment. Once he sat back down and then started dropping F-bombs, that's when I knew it was serious, because the fact that the F-bombs made it through to air, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I was I was so confused because see, this is the thing, right? And it kind of gives you context with Will Smith's acceptance speech when he did win the Best Actor for playing Richard King in King Richard. That happened later in the ceremony. So what he talked about was how protecting his family is so important to him. And that was what drove him to be so engrossed in that character in that movie. But in saying that, Chris Rock is up there. And anyone who knows who Chris Rock is that he's been a comedian in the business delivering killer jokes for such a long time. And whether you like Chris Rock or you don't, he's a comedian and he has a specific job to do. And he's up there trying to, make people laugh. And with depending on what your opinion is on certain jokes directed at people, I can understand why you would say, oh, it's in bad taste or whatever. The bottom line is he delivered a joke. It's just a joke. And then for Will Smith to actually physically go up there and then cause a level, I would say low level, a level of physical harm onto a comedian, I think is inappropriate.
Yeah. The assault, I do not condone. There's a difference between understanding something and understanding an action and condoning an action. For me, I understood why Will Smith did what he did, because you are singling out, that's his wife. That's his wife, who she has been through a lot. She's been very open about her health. And for Will Smith, and also he prefaced the joke by saying, I love ya. I love you, before he actually made the joke to try and sort of soften the blow. Yeah, it's as if he knew that this was going to tick her off. So I think there's some bits there. And when Will Smith came up and slapped him, and it's similar with you, because overseas, I believe the bit was actually censored when he was shouting at Chris Rock, but here in Australia, it was uncensored, so we heard the F-bombs, and that was the unfiltered
version.
Exactly. It was Australia and Japan.
It hits hard, man. When he I was so befuddled when he walked up on stage, and then when he sat back down, it was a sort of You know when you go on a
like
roll
a stud, yeah.
and it was like that sort of stomach churning moment of like, oh my God, what's going on? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty, hard hitting.
Yeah, no, it was.
Oh,
Yeah, it was that second. It was that second one where he just slowed down what he was saying, and it was
yeah.
just, yeah, that was the moment where like, okay, this is not a bit. This is genuine. And Chris Rock took it like a champ. You know, he was able
Oh,
to
he
make
did.
make it
Credit
all
to
the way
Chris. Like he
through.
kind
Yeah.
of spun it in a way that was somewhat comedic, and it's a testament to him and his improv ability. But yeah, that was a very intense moment of the show, and like I said, I feel like it might unfortunately take away from a lot of the positivity and the great headlines that we should be seeing. Obviously, Best Picture winner. We will get to that very soon, everyone.
Yes.
Now, before we move on to the main topic at hand being the Best Picture winner, were there any other awards that you wanted to kind of specifically mention that you were happy about? I'll give you a quick moment to think about that answer. I was very, very glad that Billie Eilish won for Best Original Song for No Time to Die. I love that song. I think it fits that movie really well. And as the send-off for Daniel Craig, I was hoping that he kind of got a really solid, not only movie, but a solid, opening credits song to kind of send him away. So I was very happy and I was very excited to see that Billie Eilish not only got up and performed the song very well, but also won the Oscar for it.
Yeah, no, it was a good choice. Once again, I was listing off the musical icons that could have ended up winning the Oscar, with whether it was Lin-Manuel or Beyonce, or Billie Eilish, who's an icon in her own right. And so I was, very happy that No Time to Die walked away with something. And looking at the other technical categories, it seemed like for a while Dune was going to be sweeping the entire.
I thought that as well.
Entire ceremony.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a very similar thing to when was it 2 years ago?
I believe it was
Parasite. That's what it was. Parasite clean slated everyone.
I was actually thinking more towards Mad Max a couple of years ago when that was taking out all the awards. Yeah, just going after costume design. I know Dune didn't win it, but I was for best sound, best no, it didn't win for visual effects. Mad Max didn't. Production design, it did.
Yes.
And best. Well, there were a few changes with it, but I was very happy to see Hans Zimmer win his second award for Dune. I was very happy about that. I'm a big Hans Zimmer guy.
I think he's probably one of the best working film composers in the industry today.
That isn't John Williams. So see,
it's funny because I think John Williams has more iconic music that is so recognizable, but also Hans Zimmer is just so consistent with making great music, even though they're not iconic tunes. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
because I remember there have been people who have attended the John Williams in concert, and people have compared it to like an orchestra, and all that. You're going, to like a night of opera or an orchestra. But I remember going to see Hans Zimmer, and it was like a rock concert. So I think those are very two different types of composers, and especially for somebody who's a diehard Zimmer fan like me, he's very. I think he deserves to be up there in the conversation for the GOAT. Once because arguably John Williams is hitting towards the end of his career. So Hans Zimmer.
I couldn't agree more.
I'm very glad that Hans Zimmer won it for Dune.
So the next award that I want to give a shout out to is Best Supporting Actor. Troy Kotsur from Coda won that award, and I think he was so deserving of winning that award. And I think it's a performance that is it's both understated, but also so like overtly profound, if you know what I mean. Because when you're dealing in a situation where there's no sort of dialogue being spoken, I feel even more difficult to convey emotion, if you know what I mean. And to be able to give a performance that is so emotional and so impactful for the people watching that movie, I think he did a fantastic job of signing all of his emotions, but also working with the actors around him. Also, obviously, the fellow deaf actors in the film, but obviously the main actress that plays Ruby as well, whose name I've just forgotten, but
Amelia Jones, I believe her name is.
Yes, I think that's it as well. I think everyone in that film did such a great job of bouncing off each other. And even though I still feel like there are a few like awkward moments in the film, just due to the nature of there being no sort of dialogue or no sound and that sort of nature, it's unavoidable. But I think overall they did such a great job of bringing that story to life. And Troy Kotsur definitely deserved Best Supporting Actor, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. Out of the selection that we had for Best Supporting Actor, I agree Troy Kotsur was the standout once I actually got around to seeing the movie. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, actually showing, especially considering the portrayal of people who are deaf throughout the years, to actually show that they are very much, just like us. They have ambitions, they have passions, they're sexually active. That kind of character that he was actually able to portray the father of the family, the patriarchal figure, but also when in doubt, when in need, to be a source of comfort, and also understanding his daughter and her passions and where they lie. I thought he was the absolute standout, and my personal pick for Best Supporting Actor this year, just in general. I'm not as big on the movie like everybody else is. I will get to that, but looking at a lot of thinking about some of the other there. I mean, I remember when Cody McPhee was the front runner. I thought, yeah, maybe. I really enjoyed.
I was going to say his performance was also very good as well. In the
it was good. It was good, but it wasn't the standout for me.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, Kieran Hines, I really liked him in Belfast. I thought he did a fantastic job. Jesse Plemons, I think, had one great scene in The Power of the Dog, and that was the clip that was shown for him. So I wouldn't have been, too fussed if he won that. And then J.K. Simmons, he got nominated because he's J.K. Simmons. We love J.K. Simmons. It does, he could be reading the phone book and we would nominate him. So I thought, to be honest, I thought this was the weakest lineup this year, Best Supporting Actor, but I'm glad that they got it right with Troy Kotsur, who I thought did a fantastic job.
No, I agree. Any other awards that stood out to you that you want to mention?
So I think to top it all off, Best Supporting Actress, I think everybody knew it was going to be Ariana DeBose. She's been the front runner the entire season. Yeah, Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog could have gone in. I personally really liked Anjanou Ellis. I thought she did a great job, if not better.
She would have been my
Smith.
pick, but she was very good.
Yeah, Jessie Buckley, which I was very happy to see get in there for The Lost Daughter. I'm a big fan of Jessie Buckley, so I was very happy to see that she got there. And Judi Dench, once again, it's Judi Dench. She's got friends in the Academy. They love her. So, yeah, but Ariana DeBose, to see her the second time, that's the original actress. What was her name? This is terrible. For Anita for West Side Story. So it's the second time that character, that performance has been awarded. So,
which is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, no, it's really nice to know that it's similar to Joaquin Phoenix winning for Joker. There are people who are going to take this character and make it their own and do it their own way. So I think that's just, there's proof in the pudding there. You want to do actor and actress?
Well, I'll actually quickly jump into Best Cinematography, actually. And I'm actually intrigued to hear your opinion on this, because Dune won, and whilst I think it is a worthy winner, I had Nightmare Alley as my front runner. So,
yeah. So for me, my personal pick would have been Nightmare Alley. I thought Nightmare Alley, the lighting in that movie was absolutely astounding.
Chef's kiss. So good.
Yes. Oh, yes. The way that it was a noir with color. It was just beautiful. But I understand why Dune won. There's a lot of shots in that movie that is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, it's a phenomenal looking film. Denis Villeneuve is an incredible filmmaker, and it can't be
exactly
understated the technical achievement that was on display for that film.
Oh God, yes. But I think it kind of also makes me scratch my head as to why Denis Villeneuve wasn't nominated for Best Director, because it was so beloved in the technical categories.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but the Academy very rarely makes sense, do they?
Yeah, sometimes their tastes don't really line up. So, yeah, and I think, I mean, this was a stacked category. I thought this was a really great category because you also had Tragedy of Macbeth, which I thought the lighting and cinematography with that was fantastic. Power of the Dogs, a lot of landscape shots, but also a lot of interiors that really looked nice. And then you had West Side Story, which, requires a lot of energy, but also allows, a lot of, great, shadows, and, it's very much within the realm of Steven Spielberg's style. So for June to win, it's a no-brainer. I'm not surprised, but also was kind of hoping maybe Nightmare Alley would pull through, but I'm not too upset.
No, I would echo those exact same words. You've summed up what I think perfectly. So, all right, actor and actress.
Yeah, so the one that, well, we'll start with actress and then we'll go into actor. I'm very happy. I'm very happy that we can finally say Academy Award winner Jessica Chastain. I'm very happy. The film I thought was good. It was all right because the Eyes of Tammy Faye, which also won Best Makeup and Hairstyling, but to see Jessica Chastain finally win for The Eyes of Tammy Faye after all these years, especially after some considered her to be snubbed for Zero Dark 30. She
was really good in that, actually.
No, she was great. And to see her finally win this award, and to especially see in interviews about how passionate she was, like especially during the Oscar clip that was shown when she had the interview with the man who was diagnosed with AIDS, and to see like the fact that she wanted to do this movie just to perform that scene alone, I think is, just goes to show you how empathetic and really just understanding Jessica Chastain is about these types of characters and what she wants to convey. So I was very happy when she won that award. This was, looking at the other winners, looking at all the nominees, it was a killer's row of talent. It was,
as it should always be at the Oscars.
Yes. And I mean, looking at it, like obviously you had Jessica Chastain, who ultimately won, but then you had Penelope Cruz, Kristen Stewart, which majority of people, she proved everybody wrong by being in this movie and got nominated. I think she's amazing in it. Olivia Colman, years ago winning for The Favourite in The Lost Daughter. Everyone loves Olivia Colman. And then you have Nicole Kidman, regardless what you think of her, she is beloved by the industry. So this was a killer's row of talent to be nominated, and I'm kind of glad that they gave it to the first time Oscar winner, but this was sort of like, oh my god, this is like, it's like trying to peel a straw in half. It's like, you'll do it, but it's going to be very, very hard to do. So I'm very happy that Chastain won.
She's one of those actresses that I feel like she has such an interesting filmography because she's in some really great films and then some real shit ones. So
yeah,
she's one of those actresses that it's hard to kind of like place a performance, because sometimes it'll be really good. For example, Zero Dark 30, which is, I think, came out in 2013 or something like that.
2012.
And then she'll also pop up in other like crap movies like Dark Phoenix, or what was that most recent action movie she did?
Oh yeah,
the
355.
Yeah. So again, she's an actress that it's kind of hard to predict what's coming in her filmography in the future. But regardless, I think her winning this award for the first time is definitely something special for her.
How else you supposed to pay off your mortgage? How?
Yeah,
one for me, one for you. Remember the quote that Michael Caine said, that I've never seen Jaws 4, but I've seen the house that it has. I have seen the house it helped built for me, and it looks very nice. So yeah, it's it's a one for me, one for you kind of scenario. I imagine it is with Chastain.
Of course.
Did you want to go into Best Actor?
Well, we touched on what Will Smith said earlier, but what were your thoughts on him winning? Because he was my front runner, and I think he was another worthy winner, despite what happened earlier in the ceremony.
Yeah, so my personal front runner, like if I had to choose, would probably be Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom. I thought he was astounding in
Okay.
that movie. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch did a fantastic job with The Power of the Dog, but it just
Mm.
felt like it was a Lifetime Achievement Award to give to Will Smith to finally actually give it to him. So I thought, yeah, he was my
Interesting.
number one.
Okay.
It was my number one simply because it just felt like the narrative was strong with Will Smith. And to having to, because I thought that as soon as he had that outburst, and from what I read, apparently he had been pulled to the side, off stage and got a talking to by Denzel Washington from Tyler Perry, his publicist, and all that. So I thought that possibly when two things: either they would do last year by pushing the ceremony back to the last thing that is awarded, or if Will Smith were to win, they would actually get somebody else to go up on stage. And it turns out none of those were actually what happened.
Well,
So
I
Will Smith
think
did
when
end
you're
up
doing
winning.
stuff live, you just got to kind of roll with the punches and just the show must go on, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But no, I think he did such a great job portraying, Richard Williams. And in that film, I think does such a great job of communicating this story of a man who is so desperate to make his family succeed. And Will Smith is an actor who has also driven his own family and children to succeed as well. So you can understand the fact that he was so attached to this I say character, but he is a real person that he's portraying. Yeah, I think he did a really good job. He engrossed the character well, and I think he did a fantastic job. And like I said earlier, was a worthy winner. But yeah, like you said, another stacked, talented, branch of actors to choose from. And yeah, it was always going to be interesting to see who came out on top. But you saying that Will Smith winning as like kind of a legacy award, I think is interesting. But I don't know if the Academy ever thinks in those sort of ways. I would like to think that they're as objective as possible and choose the best performance that they think is right for that award. But regardless, Will Smith winning, I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, people don't say Scent of a Woman is Al Pacino's best performance, even though that's the one he won his Oscar for. People look towards, Godfather, they look towards Dog Day Afternoon. So for Will Smith, I mean, I'm just trying to think of another performance that he might have, been absolutely great in. But I think it's sort of like one of those scenarios where, hey, isn't it weird that this actor who is so beloved by the industry hasn't gotten an award yet? I think it's probably maybe a matter of that, but I also think that going back to what you were saying about him being attracted to this type of character, and for creatively, it is a character despite being based off a real person. And also knowing that I believe Will Smith produced the movie, so I can
Yes, he did.
see why so you can see why he would be attracted not only to this type of character, but also to knowing what Serena and Richard Williams means to the Black community. And so to celebrate that with this type of performance by telling this story, I can see where the passion for Will Smith lied in for bringing this character to life. And I can see it. I can definitely see the passion within that in his performance. And so from that perspective, just for the singular performance alone, I thought it's a very worthy Best Actor win. Well, before we talk about Best Picture, do we want to talk about Best Director?
Well, yes, I was gonna say, yeah, it was
Yeah.
Jane Campion, right? So she won
Yeah.
for The Power of the Dog. And I think she did a fantastic job directing that movie. So subtle in her filmmaking.
Yeah, there's a lot of subtext going on with The Power of the Dog. There's a lot going on beneath the surface, and to know it, I think it was Troy Kotzer who said that when he was reading Steven Spielberg's book, he was talking about how majority of the director's job is to communicate. And I think that knowing what Jane Campion probably had to communicate to the characters, knowing about their inner demons and their inner struggles, and having to get that across not just through the performances, but also through the scenery, through the direction, through the blocking, through the placement of camera. I think that Jane Campion, and especially considering the types of films that she makes about repressed eroticism, if you look at The Piano or look at In the Cut, look at Bright Star, this is very much consistently with Campion style and her interests, and I think that this is the type of movie that I think is very deserving in that regard. It's not so much what is shown as what is suggested, and I think that Jane Campion, there was a lot on display to show what was beneath what she's trying to tell. So I think she did a fantastic job. Personally, I think the best direction of the year for me was for the GOAT, Steven Spielberg. I thought his direction for West Side Story was fantastic, but I can get on board with
whenever
Jane
you're
Campion.
making a movie that is a musical, your direction needs to be sublime so that you can not only make the musical aspects of it work very effectively, but also make sure it's like still making sense in the world, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And I was looking at the best directors, and I will make one mention for one category that I completely forgot, but I was actually really excited that he finally won it. Kenneth Branagh finally winning his first Oscar for writing Belfast. I was very excited about that.
Yeah, well, I was going to touch on it, what your thoughts was on him as being nominated for Best Director. But yeah, so obviously Kenneth Branagh winning the award for Best Screenplay, and then obviously being nominated for Director. Both I can understand. I think him being nominated for Director was more, because I think Belfast is more of an Oscar bait type movie compared to the others. I still think it's a very well made film, but it was one of those ones where I feel like it's not going to resonate with a large audience. It's a very niche audience that he was targeting, but the audience he was targeting, I think it hit all the home runs that it needed to.
See, I disagree that it would be for a niche audience, because when I watched the movie, I felt very nostalgic for a time that I was not living in. And I remember taking the movie, I'd seen it once before, and then I took my parents to see it. And maybe it's because we have some affinity, some affection for the Irish, and being interested in Irish history, and knowing the division between the Catholics and the Protestants, and showing what growing up during that time was like. I thought that it really showed a very intimate story with the backdrop of this very divisive time in Irish history. So I think that Belfast, some people see it as a Oscar bait film. I can see it from that perspective. I can, but I thought that there was a lot to that film that I felt that Kenneth Branagh was speaking on from a personal level, especially about his upbringing and
for sure.
it being in Ireland. And I thought he did a great job, and obviously using a lot of that experience to inject into his script. So I'm very happy that he finally won for it.
Yeah, and I liked his acceptance speech, so he's got that going for him as well. Because very rarely do I like people's acceptance speeches; they always drag on too long. Alrighty, Michael, let's finally talk about the Best Picture nominated films. Obviously, for those who have been following along on the channel, I've been trying to pump out my reviews for those movies, expressing my thoughts and feelings on them. There are some that I liked. There were some that I didn't like. There are some that I loved. And Coda was definitely up there as one of the ones I loved. What were your thoughts?
So going through and talking about the entire race for this entire season, it had been a three-way tie. Well, it became a three-way tie within the past month. Mostly people were looking towards Power of the Dog and Belfast for being the front runners, but as soon as Coda won the PGA Award, the Producers Guild Award, people were now going, maybe Coda has the a leg up on this, and so turned out to be true. My personal thoughts on this, as I said to you before, I'm not as big on Coda as everybody else's. I think Coda is it's a corny Lifetime script, and I just thought that a lot of it was, for the lack of a better word, contrived. Sort of like the conflict was contrived. A deaf family where only one child, is hearing. What is she interested in? Music. I just felt it was a bit hackneyed. So
yeah, okay, but I can understand that.
Yeah, but I really love seeing the dynamic of the family. That's what really sucked me in, was seeing that type of dynamic, that family existing. That's the thing that sucked me in and had my interest. And so I think that was probably the main thing that the Academy was probably thinking about when voting for this, because of how it's representative of that type of community. So, and when you look at movies like Parasite, when you look at Moonlight, what that represents for this group of people.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what they had in mind. And who's to say? Who am I to say that? Because whoever wins Best Picture, that film should be representative of this time, socially speaking, politically speaking. And I think that Coda kind of fulfills that. So I'm not angry by the decision. I'm more I think that there could have been a more speaking as a best picture about like all aspects of production to be the best of, and that accumulates in best picture. I don't think Coda is that. I don't think the cinematography is a standout. I don't think the sound.
Agree.
Well,
yep.
yeah, the sound, the editing is not the standout. Production design. It's a very cheap movie, but that's by design. It's an indie film, and that's also what I'm very happy about is to actually see an independent film winning Best Picture, and not only an independent film, but also the first streaming film. Apple finally, Apple won,
Of course,
Best Picture,
yeah.
before Netflix did. So it's there's a lot that I celebrate about this win, but it's not. I remember 2 years ago when Parasite won and what that meant for the industry, how not only was it socially and culturally and politically relevant, it was also just a really well-made film that everybody could get behind. Coda is not that. I think there's a lot as I said, a lot to celebrate about it, but I think it's not the best film of the year. That's for me personally. So I'm looking at something else. Hell, I know it's not the popular opinion because, as you said, it's an Oscar bait. I would have liked to have seen Belfast win, especially in this divisive climate, and to show that love will always triumph over division. So yeah, it's I'm a little bit underwhelmed, but there could have been a worse option.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree with most of what you were saying. It's one of those situations where I feel like sometimes there might be a little bit of an agenda at play with the decisions the Academy makes.
Oh, no doubt.
It's one of those things. Like I feel like as long as your heart is in the right place and you're being as objective as possible, I think that's what's most important. I'm happy that Coda won. I think because I really enjoyed it. It wasn't actually my favorite out of all the best picture nominated films, but I think it's a solid choice. The other ones, so obviously I know Belfast was a front runner for a lot of people, but I also thought King Richard and what was the other one that I had?
There was West Side Story. There was Nightmare Alley.
No, the Power of the Dog was the other one that I had on my list.
Yeah, Power of the Dog. Yeah,
the Power of the Dog and King Richard were my other two that I thought might have had a chance of winning it. Did you ever think that they might have had a chance of getting up over the other ones?
Well, as I said, Belfast was the one I would have picked, but it wasn't my front runner. I was going to be putting Power of the Dog for the simple reason that I did not think that Apple TV would win the first Best Picture award over Netflix. I would have thought that Netflix would have had more backing and a lot more influence over who would have voted for Best Picture. But no, it seems like Apple TV went full steam ahead with Coda, and it's a little indie film that could. So... and I mean, looking at all the other ones, I thought that at a certain point during the ceremony that if Dune had won Best Adapted Screenplay, I think all bets would have been off. I think Dune would have taken it away, and I did have that thought at one point, but as soon as Best Adapted went to Coda, that's when I was like, okay, it seems like it's going to be more in Coda's favor. But then once with Troy Kotzer winning Best Adapted Screenplay, and then to go on to Best Picture, it was like, yep, it seems like the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, sometimes it's easy to like make a prediction as to what the final outcome will be with awards that come sooner in the ceremony. Normally, whoever wins Best Director, their film ends up winning Best Picture because those are so intertwined. And then the same with screenplay. Like if whoever wins screenplay, normally it's a kind of a good bet that they'll win Best Picture as well. I have to bring this up as well. Don't Look Up being nominated for Best Picture. Did it even have a chance at all, do you think?
It did win the Screenplay Guild Award. The Screenwriters Guild, I think. I don't remember, but there is an argument to be made, especially considering the past couple of years. I remember reading somewhere, if you look at Get Out, if you look at Promising Young Women, these original screenplays, what is the one thing that they all have in common? They are socially relevant in this day and age. I think Don't Look Up, regardless of what you think of it, is tackling something that is socially relevant at this moment concerning climate change.
Yeah.
So, and our thoughts on it, how we treat that and how we approach it, I think.
And also coming after the pandemic as well.
Yeah, and that's what I saw the movie as. It's essentially, kind of metaphorical for what we're going through right now. And so I thought that would have been appealing to the Academy. And I remember reading a lot of filmmakers who actually did appreciate the film. I think it was Bong Joon-ho, shouted it out and saying that he really liked it. So
wow.
I believe so. Yeah, so I think
cool.
There was some backing for it, but I think, and especially remember, it's a Netflix movie, so I think there was more backing for Power of the Dog than there would have been for Don't Look Up.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah. So whether it stood a chance, it's nominated. Of course, it stands a chance.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it should have been nominated to begin with, but that's just my opinion.
I didn't care.
Alrighty. So, any final thoughts from you, Michael, on the Oscars for 2022?
Don't depend on fans voting on things. Because then you're going to sabotage that entire pick. Who the hell has seen Minamata with Johnny Depp? Nobody. Zack Snyder's Justice League in that cheer moment. I didn't see Zack Snyder's Justice League in a cinema.
Was it even in theaters? I'm pretty sure it was only on HBO Max. That was the whole point.
I actually found out that it was playing at Melbourne IMAX, but that was probably for like a one showing thing. So I thought it was very funny how the only time from the audience that they cheered during that section was during the Jennifer Hudson Dreamgirls bit when that was listed. I was just sort of like, that's a little bit ironic for have a cheer moment when the thing that won didn't get a peep. So I do not care. And also I liked Army of the Dead, but I'm very surprised that it won like the best film award over Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me at all. Something smells off about that.
I reckon it's the Snyder bots.
It might be. That shit didn't make sense to me at all. But overall, I think the ceremony itself, I think was well
a shit show.
Together. Well, I think for the most part, it was technically well put together. The sort of comedic aspects are always hit or miss. I think having 3 hosts, I think they shouldn't do that again. It's my opinion they should either have one or none, because you're constantly bringing out guests anyway to present awards. Interjecting a host to implement some comedy and comedic moments, I think it's kind of overkill. And like you said, the show still ran overtime. So just trim the fat as much as possible and get to the important stuff and make sure you're shining a light on as many people who are deserving of the awards as possible. Coda winning Best Picture. I don't think it was the front runner in a lot of people's minds, but I think given everything that we've discussed and all the sort of cultural significance that it will have within that community of people, I think it was definitely a Best Picture winner that will be remembered in years to come, I think.
I think it'll be remembered not for its storytelling, but what it represents. Yes. I don't think a lot of because I don't think people are really talking much about the story itself. It's talking about like what the film it's shining a light on, which I think is important. It's very important, but I think that type of community, and it's already happening right now. So I think that's good for that, and it makes the world feel more united and feel a lot more, especially this evening, division always trying to over a lot of antagonism. There's no room for that. So it's I think it will be remembered, obviously, because it's it's now in the books now. It's going to be remembered.
History has been made tonight. Yes,
exactly. And Chris Rock has not been seen since.
I was gonna say, yeah, I can't wait to go see now after we finish this up what the social media sort of responses were. But
it has been bananas. It has been just.
Anyway, I think that we'll wrap it up there, Michael. Thank you so much for coming on and discussing with me. Also, if you're down, I'm happy to make this an annual thing. I really enjoy talking to you about the Oscars and movies and just cinema and everything. So we'll see what happens in the following year. I think it's interesting that the Oscars for 2021 is happening 3 months into 2022. Or almost 4 months into 2022. I think that's slightly strange and is really off-putting. But besides that, like you said, history has been made tonight, and I'm sure some people will be upset by certain results. But I hope that most people are happy with the sort of the recognition that a lot of these filmmakers have been getting, because the Oscars is about celebrating technical and storytelling excellence. And I think we as film lovers come to this ceremony to kind of put on a pedestal some of these stories that we've loved and enjoyed and seen throughout a calendar year. And by the time we get to the Best Picture nominations and sort of the build up to the ceremony, and then by the time we actually find out who won the damn thing, it's always a fun experience for us movie lovers. So, Michael, thank you very much for coming on the podcast and discussing this Oscars special of the podcast. I really, really appreciate you coming on. And for those watching or listening on this channel, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and enjoying these conversations. There will be more to come once I get a permanent studio set up. Very, very soon. It's coming. Trust me, guys. But yeah, thanks so much for watching or listening wherever you are around the world. And until the next time, stay safe. And yeah, thank you so much.